So you should be able to hear me now. And I'm still letting people in, so just bear with me while you see me peering at the screen. So this is our last one that our last session around Swadhisthana, the sacral chakra, because next week we're moving up to Manipura. And I think every chakra has something to offer. But I love working with this because as I'm teaching it with you, I'm also working with it again myself. I might have mentioned, I can't remember, that a few years back, when I was studying the chakras with my teacher, I spent a month on each chakra chanting every day, chanting the seed mantra and doing the various movements. And it had the most profound effect on my life. So they are very powerful. And I think for those who have illnesses, chronic fatigue, whatever the illness is, without labeling it too much, the chakras are so valuable because each of them has something to offer us. So, as I've said before, Swadhisthana is about personal power. I'm going to invite you to come to a comfortable sitting position. We'll just spend about 5 minutes sitting before we come down to lying. And just while you're getting ready to sit, I just want to answer, I think it was Jill who sent me a really good question, which will apply to everybody here. And she said, is Swadhisthana, the sacral chakra, is about personal power. What when we're ill and we have to ask somebody's help? Well, my answer to that, Jill, is you can absolutely ask somebody's help. And at times you might need to rely on somebody when you're very ill. But that doesn't mean you give your power away to them, because that's something very different indeed. However, I think it's something, I've been very ill myself in the past. I've been in a wheelchair. And I think it's something that we can get caught up in, particularly if we're with somebody who might be manipulative or wants to have power over us. Now, this isn't something that we can work on straight away. It's something we might meditate on and think about. But we are all interconnected. We are all human beings, and we do need other people, whether we're ill or not. And it is possible to rely on others for help when we need it without actually giving our authority or our power away to them. So that doesn't mean we have to take on their opinions or their thoughts. And it means that inside we're still free and independent. Jill, I'm seeing you on the screen. Does that kind of answer your question? Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you. And Jill also wrote me a lovely email saying how much she's getting out of working with this chakra. As I say, as have I been from teaching it. Just a reminder, this is our last sacral chakra session, that the sacral chakra is about personal power, but it's also about balance. And that can be balance in our breath, our inhalation, our exhalation, also balance in male and female energies. And we all have both of those within us. So it's about how we harmonize those two sides of us. It's also about movement so that we don't remain stuck. And one of its qualities, for example, is that we can deal with change. And of course, there's a lot of change going on right now in the planet or on the planet. And when we become still and quiet, we're able to still retain a sense of ourselves without getting caught up too much in all that's going on out there. And it's also about feeling. So it's very much about our emotions, being able to express our emotions. And again, I think that's something that this newer generation is able to embrace. Certainly my mother's generation found that much harder. When we are able to feel our emotions, then they're able to come out and release more quickly. Otherwise, they can become stuck for years, and then we're not so well. That can be part of why we get very stuck. So with that said, come to a comfortable sitting position. Close your eyes if you're comfortable to do so. And just take a moment or two to check in with how your physical being, how your body is feeling at the moment. And just a reminder, whatever is going on in your body, see if you can try to allow it to be. So you're not resisting your experience, even agitation, pain, fatigue, resentment, whatever is there, just allow it to be. Because when we say, no, you shouldn't be there, that's when we repress. And what we repress sticks. What we resist persists, as my teacher used to say. And then just for a moment or two, watch your thoughts. And I'm going to use this lovely expression, something again, which helps me too, which is to allow your thinking to be slower than your breath. Another way that's helpful is to watch this for the spaces between the thoughts and pay more attention to the space than the thoughts. And then be aware if you've got any emotions happening at the moment. You might not have, and that's fine too. But if you have, rather than thinking about the emotions, which is what we tend to do, we tend to be in our heads and being too analytical, see if you can drop into your body and just feel the emotion. Feel it as a physical sensation, maybe observing how it's affecting you physically. And if you've got any difficulties physically, like pain or stiffness, observe if there's an emotion that's attached to that. And if it's helpful, take your hand to that place where you might be being affected. And if there's nothing, that's also fine. And we're just going to start with an affirmation. So you might like to say this silently to yourself as I say it, or you can say it out loud if you find that more powerful. So we're going to say, I call in light, growth, and power. I command the true light that supports this. I dissolve all bindings not aligned with my highest truth. And now visualize a spark or a flame at the base of your spine. As you breathe in, you're breathing this flame up the spine, bringing energy into all your chakras. And as you breathe out down the spine and release. And as you inhale, this spark is made brighter with the prana of your incoming energy. And as you exhale, anything you don't want to hold on to is released. And then we're going to do the seed mantra for this chakra. So if you like, you can take the backs of your hands and just place them just above the tailbone, or if you're tired, you can leave your hands where they are. And I'm going to chant, and then you follow, but you chant in your own breathing rhythm and your own pitch. And as always, if you don't want to chant, that's fine too. Om Vam Vam Vam. Om Vam Vam Vam. Om Vam Vam Vam. And then as we sit, we're just going to imagine that around our pelvis we're going to be stirring as if we're stirring a pot. Now, usually I say don't look at the screen because my voice is enough and looking at the screen is tiring, and I like you to move with your eyes closed. But if you need to look, I'm just, as if I'm stirring a pot, I'm just making circles around my sit bones. So just try this. We're just waking up the pelvic area. And then we'll take that movement in the opposite direction. Observe if it feels different one way to the other. Come back to center, just stay for 2 or 3 breaths, observing how you're feeling. And then if you're okay with this, we're going to see if we can make little baby spirals around our seat. So it's like we're making a little figure of 8. Imagine a figure of 8 is on your chair or your support, and you're just drawing your sit bones around that figure 8. And again, you can go one way, then go the other way. So it's really powerful for the sacral chakra. Come back to center. And then just before we come to lying down, we're going to do some breathing. Again, very much associated with this chakra. So we can think of the diaphragm being like the roof of the sacral chakra or the pelvic bowl, and the perineum, which we're going to pull up on the exhalation, as being the base. Now, if this is too complicated, please don't worry about it. Just do what you can. And as always, if anything makes you tired, then don't do it or come to lying. So it might help just to take our hands below the belly button. And what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in through the nose into those hands, so we're not breathing from the chest. And then as we exhale, we're going to gently take the navel to spine and just pull up gently on the pelvic floor or the perineum. Inhale. Belly moves out slightly. Exhale, pull in spine and pelvic floor. Inhale, and your diaphragm is massaging your organs as you do this. Exhale. Just do this for a few breaths. Don't get tired. Just breathe normally when you need to. And then drop your hands to your knees, and again, just observe your breath this time. If you can, you're breathing through the nose and you're slowing the breathing down. And just again, observe this area around the pelvic bowl. Just see how this is going right around to the back as well. Just see how the pelvis area is feeling. You might like to breathe into that area. And then when you're ready, please come down to a comfortable lying position on the floor, on a bed, on a sofa, whatever feels comfortable for you. Now, I'd like you to start, if you're okay with this, with your knees bent. Have something under your head to help the back of the neck to lengthen. And if having your knees bent, you're finding that tiring, you can, of course, bring the knees together. The feet are parallel, heels coming in towards the buttocks. And because we've just transitioned, just take a moment or two again, just to observe how you are. And again, bring your focus to your pelvic bowl and just above the base of the spine. So this whole pelvic area, which actually is like a bowl. And we're going to do some humming now. Really good for vagal tone in terms of yoga, helping to make us more sattvic. So I'd like you to imagine that you're humming on the out-breath into this pelvic bowl. So breathe in through your nose, and then in your own pitch, your own breathing rhythm. I'm just doing that once as a demonstration. The reason I don't hum with you is I want you to find your own vibration, your own pitch. So try that 3 to 5 times. and feel that you're humming into the pelvic bowl and that the hum is soothing you like a lullaby. It's like you're finding your own frequency. And releasing that now. As you breathe, I'd like you to visualize the tailbone, the base of the spine. And on every inhalation, I'd like you to visualize this lengthening. And on the exhalation, visualize the base of the spine softening down into your support. So inhale, it's opening and lengthening. Exhaling, it's softening. And now we're going to change that visualization slightly. So as you breathe in, I'm going to give you a choice. You can either visualize like soft orangey golden light coming into the pelvic bowl on the in-breath, or you might like to visualize that as fresh blood filled with mitochondria and energy coming into your pelvis. Exhale and relax. And in a minute, we're going to start some very gentle movement from the mat. We're going to do another affirmation now. So again, as I say this, if you like, either say it silently to yourself or repeat it out loud. I claim my personal power now. I am powerful. Energy, life, and sovereignty are mine. And just again to add to the question that Jill asked at the beginning of the class, which is, we have to ask somebody's help because maybe we're disabled or we need that support. That never means giving your power away because nothing can touch what's inside you. What's inside you is where your power is, and this is the real you. And that's yours to look after. There's a lovely passage in the Bhagavad Gita, which I can't quote exactly, but it says something like, water cannot wet it, fire cannot burn it. What you have is you inside. Nobody can touch that. And that's yours to protect as well. And we'll say another affirmation, if you like. So again, after me, I align only with living light truth. I align only with living light truth and infinite awareness. And then we're going to imagine that we've got a clock face on our pelvis, and we're going to just roll around the pelvis slowly. So we're circling the pelvis. I'll do this if you do need to look up at the screen, but hopefully you don't. So we're just slowly circling the lower back. The knees are kind of going with this, taking it slowly. One way, and then the other way. Come back to center. And now as you breathe in and rest, just feel that you're breathing in power and energy on your in-breath again. Exhale and relax. And then we're going to take one knee, then the other over the abdomen, and we're just going to rock out from side to side. And then pause, and you can hold around the knees or below the knees or under the knees, whatever's comfortable for you. And we're going to circle the knees apart and then together. So again, we're working into this lower back area. So you move with the breath if you can, but if you can't, that's fine. You're going to inhale and the knees drift away from you as the elbows straighten. And then you open the knees wide. And then as you exhale, the knees come in towards you and together. And you'll feel that circle on the base of the spine. And this is really helping to mobilize the hips. And I always say the slower movements in yoga, this is all actually more powerful than doing all these strong asanas. This is real yoga here we're doing. And then you can reverse that if you like. And then we're going to pause with the knees over the abdomen just for a moment or two. And then we're going to chant the knees into the belly. And again, the chanting is optional. So I'll do this once or twice with you, then you do it in your own breathing rhythm. So we breathe in, the knees drift away from us, the elbows straighten, and then we chant Vam, Vam, Vam. Knees come into the belly. Inhale, the knees move away from us. Vam, Vam, Vam. In your own breathing rhythm, your own pitch. So 3 to 5 times, depending on your energy levels. As always, really listen in and honor your energy. Rest out when you need to and if you need to. And if you're too tired today even to move, just rest. Just be with us. And then when you're ready, drop your feet to the mat. And then just draw the soles of the feet together and open the knees. So you're resting in Supta Baddha Konasana, the cobbler pose. And you can rest your hands on your belly. You can rest them down beside your hips. Or if you want a stronger movement to open the front of the body, you can bring the arms up and behind you. So you decide which feels best for you. And then on every exhalation, just gently draw the navel into the spine so that you're helping the lower back just to come a little further down towards the mat. But don't do too much. You can also use this as a resting position. And you might like to visualize the breath coming into the groin because that will be where any tightness is. And then visualize on the exhalation that the groin area is releasing. Allow the mind to become still and see if you can find stillness. Either from the pause after the exhalation or between the thoughts. Or you even might find now that you are surrounded by a bubble of silence and you're just going to drop into that silence. And then when you're ready, gently lift one knee, then the other. You might want to massage into the groin if it's tight. Hug the knees into the chest. And again, rock out the spine from side to side. Take the arms out like a cross just below the shoulder level, palms are up. And take the knees down towards the right side. They might go all the way down, or you can just take them towards the right, or you can place a cushion there. And then roll the head to look over the left shoulder. Keep the shoulders aligned with your support and just rest there for a few breaths. Feel on every exhalation you are releasing further and further into the twist. And then on an in-breath, center the head and the knees. Take a couple of breaths here. And then when you're ready, on an exhalation, take that to the other side. So knees go to the left, head rolls to the right. Keep the shoulders aligned with your support. Rest into the twist and observe if it feels different on one side from the other. You're observing without judgment, but with compassion. Always remember, if there's any pain or you've got lower back problems, never push through pain, just rest out. So please listen to your body and always be compassionate to whatever is happening in your present moment experience. Again, feel on every exhalation you're releasing more and more into the twist. And then when you're ready, draw the knees back, center the head, center the knees. And again, rock out the spine from side to side, just to neutralize the spine from the twist. And draw the knees into the belly, just to open up that lower back, keeping the lower back mobile. And then stretch out the legs and rest into Shavasana. And take a moment or two just to observe your experience. So let your awareness drift around your physical being. And we're now going to move into our Yoga Nidra practice. So I'm going to turn my camera off and give you a moment or two just to get ready.